come down pit road, including Lee Raymond and Bill Venturini. Let's check in the Bob Keselowski pits and find out maybe why they didn't pit. John?
Jerry, I got to believe it's got to be dollar signs. Ron Keselowski, crew chief and brother. Is that the reason y'all didn't come in and pit this time?
Yeah, you bet. This has been a bad year for us. Haven't won much money on a circuit this year. Sponsorship is really poor, and we got to go for every buck we can find.
$2,500 to these guys. That's about like $10,000 to the Winston Cup guys, Jerry.
Well, indeed. Of course, Ron Keselowski is 5 years older than brother Bob driving the car. Bob is 39. Ron is 44. They own their own business, K Automotive, and so they pay the bills. Certainly $2,500, a big factor in being able to keep this team going in our competition. And what an impressive start. Some 4 or 5 wide there, Ned,
they are
turn one.
Yes, everywhere back behind Keselowski there. Of course, they'll single down. Well, I started to say at least 2 abreast, and then all of a sudden we saw a 3 abreast situation there for just a moment. But they single out pretty good once they get into turn 1.
Bob Keselowski just picking up where he left off, looking out the rear now. John Paul Jr. car. John Paul Jr. now being shown in the second spot after Venturini and Lee Raymond had pitted. Remember, his first ever, not only his first ARCA start, his first ever stock car start. Impressive young driver, John Paul Jr. in the car number 53. Just 31 years of age from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Said he was born in Indiana.
Here's Ben Hess in the car number 37 making a move. He moves up on the car 27 of T.W. Taylor, the Chatley Boats and Marine Chevy.
And Taylor had made a green flag pit stop, Jerry, just before the stop of Jack Bowser, so he went a lap down.
Of course, there's Ben Hess making a move around. And Ben will have that ride for the remainder of the year. Real excited about getting an opportunity to drive the car number 37, the Jim Spacuzza car. He brought along his own crew chief, Lee Leslie. There's Ben in 4th place. Nice young man, 26 years of age. He is a exercise fanatic, works out every day at his home just outside of Mooresville, North Carolina. Works out with a lot of the Winston Cup drivers like Ricky Rudd and Michael Waltrip. Here's our leader, the Chevrolet Beretta, and you see that quarter panel is clean. There are no sponsors on the car, so that's halfway point of $2,500 is very important.
Yeah, it's almost like getting a sponsorship for an event for these guys. And so he only has 2 more laps to go, Jerry, and that $2,500 will be his. You know, Ron won a USAC 500-mile stock car race here back in 1974.
John Paul Jr. The painting on the side of John Paul's car says it's actually a racing park, a sports car racetrack in Ireland called Mondello Park.
And it's the only racetrack in Ireland. And it is owned by Mr. Martin Moran, who owns this race car. And Mr. Moran said, hey, we need tourists in Ireland, so I thought we'd put that name on the side of the car so that we could attract a little bit of attention.
And there was some chatter down there about possibly John Paul running the Topeka race on August 4th up in Heartland Park. That's the 1.8-mile road course that ARCA runs. And in fact, there was even some chatter between him and Richard Childress about maybe providing a car for him to run up there. He does such a great job on the road courses. Still looking out the back of the John Paul Jr. car. They're showing 9 cars on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap would be Bobby Gerhardt in the car number 85. He is in 9th spot. Right behind John Paul Jr., the little black car catching him in a hurry. The Target Expediting Oldsmobile of Ben Hess.
You know, they made some pretty good chassis adjustments. You noted that, Jerry, a moment ago when he was in the pits, and it appears to be helping him. It looked like the car was pushing because the adjustments they made would be loosening the rear of the car up a little bit, and it looks like it's working for it.
Boy, Ben has impressed so many people when he first came on the ARCA series. They're running so well at Daytona and Atlanta. He won back-to-back a couple of years ago at Daytona and Atlanta on the speedways. In fact, he is second to Charlie Glotzback in all-time ARCA Super Speedway laps led. So no surprise at all that Hess able to hustle that car back toward the front.
One more lap for Bob Keselowski to pick up that $2,500 bonus.
Van Hess is pulled right to the rear deck of the Chevrolet Lumina of John Paul. You just see the glimpse of Keselowski going into turn one. Here comes second and third spot as John Paul trying to hold the inside groove. Hess realizing he just can't quite squeeze enough room to get at him under turn one, and he'll try to make a shot up the backstretch. The Long Pond straightaway is a little over 3,000 feet.
Three black cars up front. You got to wonder if there's something in there. These guys look at Dale Earnhardt and say, hey, he drives a black car, so he runs up front a lot, so let's paint our cars black.
Earnhardt thinks it's at least a mile an hour in that black paint.
Well, if he thinks that, it might be.
Power of positive thinking. Apparently it's working today for Keselowski. Paul, as Keselowski now goes by the lap car of George Wilshire. And the money will be paid at halfway to Bob Keselowski. So that'll make his brother Ron, who you saw John Kernan talk to a moment ago, a little happier there. They have not had such great luck this year on the Tour. Now, he's still fourth in the point standings, but considering the way he normally runs early in the year, they have struggled.
Now, that's great, Jerry, that he's got that $2,500 in the bank. But he has another problem. He's got a pit stop coming up. We've got a pass coming up right here.
Both these cars pitted during the last caution, so Ben Hess and John Paul may be able to make it the rest of the way, but the leader in front of him, Bob Keselowski, has got to be hoping possibly for a yellow flag, because you said that he will have to come in probably in the next 6 or 7 laps.
Yeah, he will have to in the next 6, 7, or 8 laps. And, of course, as long as it takes him to go around this racetrack, he could certainly stop and get gas and could probably change right-side tires and still stay in the lead lap. That is with a good pit stop.
There's Keselowski flicking him off, lap 31.
You know, I believe Ben Hess is gaining on him once he got around John Paul.
Here's Bob Brevac and Bob Dotter. Brevac in the car number 34 in 6th, and Dotter is 7th. And behind them, the car number 76, that being shown in 8th spot. That, of course, is Graham Taylor, the Port Royal, Pennsylvania driver in the CarMate Trailers Ford. So good battle there. Brevac in 6th, and Bob Dotter, the 3-time ARCA champion.
And, Jerry, for the Bobby Bowser fans, he did lose a lap when he made that unscheduled pit stop when he cut a tire down. So Bowser struggling a little bit here today. He's currently being shown in 12th place, so really not that far out of it with only 10 cars in the lead lap. Well, actually, yes, 10 cars in the lead lap.
You mentioned Bob Brevac. He's got somewhat of an unusual sponsorship. He always carries the race glades on the side of his car, but his car here, he moved his engine shops. Actually, he moved to be closer to his crew chief at Engine Builder down in Ohio, John Slonkowski, down in Versailles, Ohio. When he moved into a campground there in a trailer and met some people at Fort Laramie, Ohio, who host this big country concert every year. This year, the 11th annual country concert at Hickory Hill, and they're going to have some great bands that you and I are big country music fans. I mean, the Oak Ridge Boys, Johnny Cash, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, I mean, Alabama, all of them will be there in July, and so they decided to sponsor his race car.
Wow, well, that's neat. I wish we could go to the concert. Sounds great. This battle tightening up here. Brevac leading the charge. Bob Dotter, the second car in that particular pack. Of course, they're running 6th and 7th and 8th.
Bob Dotter, at 52 years of age, a veteran, 3-time ARCA champion, closing in now on his 200th career start. Bob Dotter leads all ARCA drivers at Pocono with 448 laps complete, over 1,100 miles run by that veteran driver. The fellow who's showing the way right now is Bob Keselowski, at 39 years of age, trying to pick up his 3rd win at Pocono Raceway. Stay with us.
Right through the toughest dirt around, chase the grease and grind right out of town. When you have the toughest stain and it's giving you a pain, zip it off, zip it off.
The Suzuki Dual Sport 350S cleans up on any surface.
Wow!
It's one of the most technologically advanced, most rigorously tested fluids on Earth, relentlessly measured for maximum protection against the friction, the wear and tear, the heat and stress of today's engines. It is today's Quaker State. In Europe, in Japan, in America, Quaker State quality has passed the most demanding tests automakers can throw at it. At Quaker State, we don't just say we're tough, we're tested tough. The big Q is one tough motor oil.
Introducing the fastest way to stop athletes' foot itch. New Absorbine Junior.
The leading remedy claims relief begins in 24 hours. Absorbine Junior takes seconds. Absorbine Junior now contains tonaphtate, a proven fungicide to cure athlete's foot. Add an environmentally safe pump spray and a money-back guarantee if that itch doesn't stop in seconds. And you've got new Absorbine Junior antifungal liquid spray. The fastest, guaranteed.
Pittsburgh's Killer Bees are putting the sting to the rest of the National League. Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla lead the first-place Pirates against the Giants. Live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
The Suzuki GSX 1100G. Fly without excess baggage.
Back at Pocono International Raceway, a nice crowd on hand for today's ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series. Champion batteries 150, and the champion so far has been Bob Keselowski. It's been all his way. After setting a record in qualifying here, he was able to go by the limping car, sputtering car of Bob Shack and take the lead. Now, Bob, you've won twice here. Why has this track been so much better to you than other super speedways?
I contribute that to having more to do with handling than it does with horsepower. Our horsepower has been adequate, but never dominating it. A track like this, you need some power, but boy, the handling it just becomes really important. And our cars always handle well, and I've adapted to the track well, and you can make up some as a driver here.
Well, he has 15 career wins in ARCA, 2 on the super speedways, and they both come here. Here's a battle that's heating up. Again, Bob Breback and Bob Dotter in the car number 34 and 8, respectively.
That's 6th and 7th.
One of the best runs I've seen for Bob Dotter this year.
Having a good run. The car looks like it's handling well for him. Okay, move in as they move into turn 3. And right behind them is Lee Raymond, who has taken over the 8th position in car number 1. He passed the car number 76 of Graham Taylor a few laps ago, and now Raymond moving up on Dotter, attempting to make a pass there.
Lee Raymond pretty excited about the Jim Coyle car. They have a Noah Brown engine out of Charlotte, North Carolina in this Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Not the Lumina they sometimes run on the speedways, but the Monte Carlo they brought here to Pocono, running pretty well for him.
Well, he's in 8th place right now. Graham Taylor is 9th, and back behind them in 10th place is Bobby Gearhart, the last car on the lead lap.
You get a shot looking way across the expansive infield here over to turn 2. Beautiful facility here. The foliage of the Pocono Mountains in the background. You see the tunnel. They go across the tunnel turn. That's the entry to the back part of the garage. Once again, Breback, Dotter, and Lee Raymond. And Raymond is coming in a hurry. He will make a move on Dotter as they head for turn 3 and take the spot away.
He moved up on him with that turn the last time around. He figured that was Dotter's weak point and maybe his strong point. So Raymond now putting the measure on Breback. He is really getting through turn 3, which helps him down this front straightaway.
Only Lee Raymond's second start of the 1991 season. He ran one race at Atlanta earlier in the year, finished 11th down there. They sort of had been on a limited schedule because of, as every race driver knows, a limited budget.
Well, I'll tell you, if you don't have the finances, if you don't have a sponsor on the side of that car that puts a good bit of money in there, it is tough to run. Any circuit, it doesn't matter. It takes money to run these things. Of course, there's great exposure for the sponsors.
Now we'll see if Raymond can possibly pull up the backstretch. They're just about even as they get to turn 2, but that's where Raymond's car, Lee Raymond's car number 1, tends to have a little bit of an advantage possibly. See if you can close now coming across the tunnel turn. They go by the George Wiltshire car.
Well, that might affect him a little bit coming off of there, Jerry, but he's also been strong going into turn 3. Let's see what he does this time, but I don't think he got the run off of 2 that he did before when he ran around Bob Dotter, so he might have to wait another lap to make the pass on Breback.
Bob Breback's best super speedway finish came here at Pocono. That was a 3rd. And of course, Lee Raymond, a former winner here. He sat on the pole and won this race 3 years ago, back in 1988.
While we're watching this battle, we're going to have to watch closely because Bob Keselowski, the leader, is going to have to come in the pits before too long. He is really stretching it right now. He's on the 39th lap, so he's nearing 100 miles. And certainly you don't want to run out of gas here. John Kernan, how about it down there? What are you looking at?
Well, it looks like it's going to be immediately. Just as soon as Keselowski can get back around and get into his pits, he will take on fuel. They thought that they would not change tires. That was the strategy, just go with fuel only, because they had compared times to other cars that had changed tires, but they didn't see that much of a difference in the lap time. So the plan is going to be no tires and fuel, and he should be coming in very, very shortly.
That is, if he can get back. If that thing were to sputter now, he would make it back because he's already past the turn 2 mark there, but it would be very difficult. Now you see the crew, the Bob Keselowski crew, Brother Ron, and the rest of that K Automotive crew getting set to service that Chevrolet Beretta. We will see lap 40 this time of 60, which comprise this 150-mile event. The Champion Batteries 150. A great weekend of racing here. Of course, live ARCA racing today, and tomorrow live flag-to-flag coverage of the Champion Spark Plug 500 NASCAR Winston Cup show. Here's Keselowski now, the 89 Series champion. And he will have to come down pit road very, very slow. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Well, of course, he can only come down pit road at about 55 miles an hour, and it seems to take an eternity at that speed to get the car. He's still coming down right past the start-finish line here on pit road, through waiting. They had contemplated changing right-side tires, but they had put those tires down, and now they will take fuel only. As Bob is in the pits, first can of fuel going in. They will need 1 can of fuel and possibly just a bit more. They're cleaning the windshield, making sure he can see. But I tell you what, they got that $2,500 bonus, and they were certainly hoping that their luck would change and stay good and allow them to catch a caution, but they've had to come and pit under green. And one other note, Ben Hess is very close on fuel. He pitted around lap 20, and he has now assumed the lead, and he thinks he can stretch it out the rest of the way, but it will be close, so we need to watch that.
Well, that was a 15-second pit stop, and that should leave him in the lead lap. As far as Keselowski is concerned, he's a long way behind. And if this thing goes green the rest of the way, Jerry, and Hess is able to make it on fuel, it would be awfully hard to catch it.
Well, they're showing 10 cars in the lead lap, and you got to wonder if he might have been penny wise and pound foolish. He wanted to stay out there, and he ignored the caution flag to pick up the $2,500, but had he maybe pitted as strong as the car was, he may have been able to pick up the lion's share of today's purse, some $81,000, which he would have had a shot at.
Well, who knows? But the old saying goes, you know, a bird in the hand's worth 2 in the bush. So that $2,500, he could see it right there then and never know where to get to the end of this race or not. So take what you can get when you can get it.
And they're heating it up out there as Graham Taylor in the car number 76 and Bob Dotter. They are charging now for 8th spot. It's 8th and 9th. There's Graham Taylor. 52-year pair of 52-year-old veteran drivers there. Graham Taylor, of course, a former Rookie of the Year, and Dotter, a former 3-time champion of this series.
Well, that didn't drop Keselowski all the way to the end of the cars on the lead lap, Jerry. He's being shown now in 7th place, so he is still in good shape, and he'll probably pick off some of those cars.
And there's the car number 10. That's Glenn Brewer, who is the older brother of Tim Brewer, the Winston Cup crew chief for Junior Johnson's operation. And Glenn Brewer, like the 1990 Rookie of the Year, pulls his Oldsmobile off of the racetrack. The big Budweiser Olds emblem now pulls off and is slowing as he heads the car to try to keep from putting the caution out. He pulls it off over toward turn 2. And Bob Dotter, who was being shown as high as 7th spot a minute ago, is now slowed, and Bobby Gerhardt and Graham Taylor have gone by. And here's Billy Thomas. I think they're all taking the hint. Are they running out of gas? Possibly, and all these cars slowing at once.
Well, they could be. I don't know how many of them. We thought about everybody stopped during the last caution. But the car number 8 did make a pit stop on lap 23. So he should be okay as far as fuel is concerned, but it looks like he's coasting down pit road.
Well, Bob Dotter gets service there from his crew as his car now has coasted on the pit road. Billy Thomas from East Alabama takes the car number 22 now off into the grass. So a lot of drivers encountering troubles. Less than 20 laps to go. Here is Ben Hess, shows the way in the Champion Batteries 150.
No better way to face the day.
The morning belongs to Speed Stick. It's what more men reach for, to prepare, to prevent, to protect. Speed Stick.
No better way to face the day. Nothing beats a winning team. Pushing
working hard, reaching for the dream. Up it beats clean, crisp and cold. Got the king of speed. You're on a roll. Nothing beats the bud. Budweiser. Budweiser. Nothing beats the bud. Nothing beats the bud.
The same battery that has started 9 out of 10 NASCAR winners since 1977 also starts millions of cars all over America every day. Die Hard. More power when you need it most.
With more power than standard cordless screwdrivers and 40 inch-pounds of torque, the new Black & Decker Power Driver is more than a match for any job. The new Black & Decker Power Driver, one power tool that really pulls its own weight, and then some.
I sit there and I look at him. I take a good look at him, and you can see how happy he really is. And because his son is doing this, and he gets to go home, and that's my boy.
Back at Pocono, Pennsylvania, under caution for the third time today. Heavy impact in turn 2 for the car number 76, Graham Taylor. You saw him climb out of the car, safety crews are there, and of course, pit stops, the order of the day. Ben Hess will take an opportunity to come in and get that splash of fuel as they will change tires.
I think that's a good move. It was going to be close whether he could make it or not. He and John Paul Jr. both, there you see him going out of the pit. So now they'll have on fresh tires, have plenty of fuel, won't have to worry about it from here on. And that new leader now is Bill Venturini.
So Bill Venturini is trying to pick up a win here. And of course, Graham Taylor, they're still working over there. Let's take a look again so we can see what happened in turn 2.
Well, the car apparently got loose and backed into the outside retaining wall, Jerry, and then comes back down across the track. You can see the damage to the rear of the car number 76 of Graham Taylor.
He hit a ton over there in that concrete wall, just about the area where Bobby Allison had his horrible accident a few years ago. Of course, Graham is a veteran, 89 STP Prestone ARCA Rookie of the Year. His best finish here came a couple of years ago when he had a 7th place finish. Best finish this year was 18th at Daytona in the season opener. He has seriously shortened that Ford Thunderbird over there, and the safety crews are there. Unfortunately, we were able to see him climb out of the car. He talked to the safety crews and climbed out and walked over to the ambulance, where he'll be taken in to the infield care center to be checked out. Certainly, they leave no stone unturned in the ARCA or NASCAR Winston Cup ranks to make sure the drivers are okay, but he has totally destroyed the back of that car. There's a look at Graham Taylor, very likable gentleman, 52 years of age, cut his teeth in some of the short tracks around this area. In fact, he is from Port Royal, Pennsylvania.
1 mile on the play track.
And that car will be need some serious repair before it will race again.
Well, it was one of those drivers that was running in the top 10 today. Now there are only 8 cars in the lead lap, as Bob Dodder lost a lap when he made his unscheduled green flag pit stop.
Well, while Doyle Ford gets the field all sorted out, we are under caution for the 3rd time today, so we don't miss any green flag racing action. We'll take another break and be back after this.
How you doing? You know, AutoZone customers are pretty special. I mean, they take great pains in doing a job just right. So they know exactly what they want. That's why we carry so many parts. And also why we price them so low every day of the week. Because you gotta admire a guy who'll tackle a job like putting in a starter, a water pump, a rack and pinion. And you gotta give a guy like that exactly what he wants. The right parts and the right price.
Brett Bodine, one tough driver, talks about Quaker State, one tough motor oil.
At North Wilkesboro, that Carolina asphalt was hot enough to fry our King Racing Buick. Our engine was running hot, 240 degrees, and I had to keep pushing it over 8,000 RPM. Now that's when you start worrying about your oil's viscosity breaking down. But when the going got tough, the same Quaker State you can buy right off the shelf was tough enough to get me to the finish line first.
Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
The way I work, I sure appreciate my new Suzuki King Quad. It's great for fishing, too. Caught 9 bass last week. It hauled all the wood to build Martha's chicken coop. It took me hunting, spent all day shooting geese.
Check out the new King Quad ATV at your Suzuki dealer now.
You plowing tomorrow, Wayne?
Yep.
Don't forget your fishing gear.
Suzuki recommends all riders take a training course. In fact, it's on us. See your dealer for details.
Back at Pocono International Raceway, under caution for the third time today. A heavy impact for Graham Taylor. He has walked away, though. We're getting set for more green flag racing action. Lots of racing action yet to come your way tonight on ESPN. Kicked off by an exciting Speed Week show at 7:30 p.m. Then IHRA drag racing from Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee at 8 p.m. And then, of course, always exciting USAC sprints and midgets coming from Winchester, Indiana. That's a wonderful racetrack to watch a race from, folks, at 9 p.m. tonight, live on ESPN. So stay tuned for lots of auto racing tonight. And, of course, back here tomorrow at Pocono, Pennsylvania for the Champion Spark Plugs 500. Signal being given, 1 lap to go. And Ed, laps are winding down. Some pit stops have been made.
Well, they have. Most of the front runners did make pit stops. Of course, Keselowski didn't have to make a pit stop because he had made one not long ago. Bill Venturini is in the lead. Now, he pitted on lap 24. So that would mean that he has about 36 laps to go. So he should be able to make it. Keselowski went farther than that, so he should be okay.
Well, they're going to get set up behind this GMC truck pace vehicle, and we'll get set for green flag racing. Top 15, Bill Venturini, you saw the leader, 6 through 10. Bob Dotter now still being shown in 10th spot. And 11 through 15, Bobby Boucher now back in 11th spot, which may help his point situation. Doug French rounding out the top 15. 45 of 60 laps complete here at Pocono, Pennsylvania.
There in the top 5.
Well, we mentioned this caution flag was for the impact of Graham Taylor. Let's see if John Kernan has been able to find out what may have happened to Graham Taylor's car over in turn 2. John?
Well, Jerry, what the crew has told me is that he cut a tire down, and once you cut a tire down into turn, you know what happens. You get an impact with the wall. The tire just blew, they said.
Well, that's all it takes, and that's difficult to turn there in turn 2.
That's a bad place to have a flat. We've seen a number of cars in the past, Winston Cup, have that kind of a problem over there, and one of the worst places on the racetrack that you can cut a tire down.
8 cars on the lead lap. It should be quite a shootout. It'll be 47 complete, 13 to go this time by. And, of course, up front, Bill Venturini trying to pick up his first win of 1991. He was the pole sitter at Talladega. We covered that race on ESPN. This is the second of what will be 5 ARCA telecasts on ESPN this year. Of course, we come back to Pocono next month. We're at Michigan up there at Gene Haskett's and Roger Penske's fine facility. And we close out the year down at Atlanta at Bob Markham and Bruton Smith Hospitality down there in Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia. Getting set for green flag racing action here at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Venturini wastes no time, Ned, in trying to hustle off. He knows that Ben Hess and John Paul and a number are going to be coming in a hurry.
Yeah, he knows Keselowski's back there. They will be coming in a hurry. This is the first time that he's back together with crew chief Norman Negree. And Norman has the car set up well and running well. And I'm sure that was part of the strategy of Venturini when he made the pit stop back on lap 24. He knew that he could go the rest of the way. And he said, I'm going to roll the dice here and see if I can orchestrate a situation which will put me up front. And sure enough, it has.
And Bob Keselowski is not going to waste any time hustling that black car back for the front. Keselowski just squeezing inside of Bob Breback. A gallant move there. A gallant move by Keselowski in a very difficult place to pass.
Very difficult place to pass. His car has been working well all day. He has a lot of confidence in it, Jared. Look at him come up on the car number 1 of Lee Raymond.
Lee Raymond was being shown as a second-place car, and here comes Keselowski to the inside. He knows they need the money, as Ron, his brother, said a little bit ago to John Kerning. And you see now they're drafting down the front stretch. Here's Ben Hess. Bill Venturini in the car number 25. Ben Hess in the 37. And they're door-to-door down in turn 1.
Well, Hess has the preferred line. He is giving Venturini plenty of room to run up there, but he gets the traction off of turn 1, takes the lead.
26-year-old Ben Hess takes the lead, but he knows, just what Bill Venturini knows, that car right there on your screen, Bob Keselowski, the car on the right, is coming in a hurry.
And I'll tell you, Jerry, it's very impressive, the fact that he hasn't changed tires, and all of these other drivers have changed tires, and that car is working very, very well. Look at him go by Venturini.
He has put his foot in it, and, of course, his brother Ron builds the motors, and he is just reeling in now, Ben Hess, as they head for turn 3.
Handling, he has horsepower, he's got a driver behind the wheel. That's what it takes to win.
And you see Ben Hess make that move sort of the conga line down that 0.7 of a mile straightaway. He's trying to break the draft.
Trying to break the draft, but Keselowski is too smart for that. Not going to work.
And we thought Keselowski had rolled the dice and made a mistake picking up. He knew what he was doing all the time. Picked up the halfway money. He's going to take it all. But he's got to get by Ben Hess in the car number 37. Oldsmobile showing the way. And a Chevrolet in second spot. Also a Chevrolet back in third. Venturini about 6 or 7 cars back. And right now the battle is up front.
Jerry, let me correct myself. I didn't realize that Keselowski had made a pit stop during this last caution flag and did take on some tires. So that is another reason that he's coming back to the front so quickly.
And he will make the move and take the lead just between turns 2 and 3, and he has gone by Ben Hess. They should get the 10 to go this time by. It'll be 50 complete of the 60, which comprises 150-mile event. Speeds of 175 miles an hour down this long front straightaway. Can Bob Keselowski hold off the challenge of Ben Hess? Well, we'll see when we come back with more racing after this.
This is one leader in reproduction. This is the other. A sharp copier from Data Systems Synco. But when you need more than a copier alone, follow the leader. Data Systems Synco has a full line of office equipment, also including laser printers, facsimile machines, and high-speed copiers. Data Systems Synco. Follow the leader.
Everything for every pet. That's what you'll find at the Sweet Feed Company. Over 20 brands of dog and cat food, bird and fish food, small animal feed, wild bird seed, medications, flea products, and an endless array of pet accessories. Knowledgeable service, plus a helpful tip or two.
Is there anything Sweet Feed doesn't carry?
Nope. If you love animals like we do, then you'll love shopping at the Sweet Feed Company, where you'll find everything for every pet. Well, almost every pet.
If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
There he goes. He leaps. He makes the catch.
See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. Pittsburgh's killer bees are putting the sting to the rest of the National League. Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla lead the first-place Pirates against the Giants. Live at 8 Eastern on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Keselowski, the 39-year-old driver, trying to pick up his first win of the 1991 season, leads Ben Hess, Bill Venturini, John Paul Jr., and Lee Raymond with just 9 laps to go. Now, going to break, we showed you that Ben Hess was the leader, but they're swapping it up so quickly here, even we can't keep up. And it's, of course, Keselowski leading the way with Breback, Roy Payne, Bobby Gerhart, Bob Daughter in the top 9. Bob Keselowski, after what has been a difficult beginning of the 1991 year. But this is one of his favorite racetracks. We mentioned he is tied with Bob Schacht among active drivers, both having 15 career ARCA wins. He has won twice on super speedways, both of those wins coming on this very difficult triangular 2.5-mile facility.
Last year here on ESPN, Jerry, Keselowski led 61 of the race's first 66 laps at Michigan before he blew an engine. So let's hope that that doesn't happen today. He's had too good of a run, and everything has just gone great for him. The strategy has been good. Picking up the $2,500 and then going into the pits on this last caution, putting on some tires and running back to the front very quickly.
Always exciting racing when the ARCA cars are on ESPN. We mentioned this is the second of 5 events this year on ESPN, and they have some tremendous competition. We saw a great race in the Poland Pro 500 at Talladega earlier in the year, back in May. And, of course, back-to-back Pocono events as we enjoy the hospitality of Dr. Joe and Rose Mattioli here and Bob Clement and the staff. Then the Penske Speedway. Gene Haskett and the fine folks at Michigan in August will have a live ARCA event as we are showing just 7 laps to go. And we'll round out the ARCA Championship in November at Hampton, Georgia there with Bob Markham and Bruton Smith's fine facility, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. There's Ben Hess in the car number 37. He is being shown in second spot, and behind him, Bill Venturini. Hess in the Oldsmobile. Venturini in a Chevrolet Lumina.
And there's a pretty good distance, really, between first and second and third, Jerry. We'll put our unofficial stopwatch on the leaders here as Ben Hess goes by. He's 5 1/10 seconds behind the leader. Then Venturini is about 5 seconds behind Hess.
Well, we asked Bob Keselowski to try to predict the future a little bit. Now, he's got the pole position here, of course, with a brand new track record. But what kind of expectations do you have for running the race? How did you plan to do it here, Bob?
The car is really feeling good. We ran good at this track. We won here twice, had some good races here before on ESPN, and looking forward to another good run. I haven't had a chance to run Bob Check heads up. He's been the big winner here in the last few years, so this is really run the whole race and have a good race, you know, without any mechanical failures.
Well, of course, Bob Schacht, who was one of the early leaders, had a problem and had a mechanical problem, as Bob Keselowski, race car driver and somewhat soothsayer, predicted that if that were the case, he might be the guy to beat here, and indeed that is the case. Maybe he's saying that ESPN brings him some luck, Ned.
Well, I think he certainly likes to race when we have the cameras here, because he has done well in the ESPN races.
Battle back for 3rd and 4th spot. Bill Venturini. There's Keselowski, the leader. Venturini is the 3rd place car. And we're inside now the 4th place car of John Paul Jr.
Looks like he's gaining on Venturini now.
Outstanding effort for John Paul Jr. West Palm Beach, Florida driver, the first time ever in a stock car. We mentioned that he's done some great jobs of driving first-time events in other series in IndyCar racing and in Trans Am. Of course, the 3-time Indy 500 competitor.
And I believe this is the first time ever for an in-car camera in our ARCA series racing.
So getting some great pictures there by the Vision Group in-car camera. That's the 3rd and 4th place cars. On the left of your screen, the 25 car, Bill Venturini. The right, the 53, the former Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt owned car of John Paul Jr.
He is definitely gaining on it.
And there were some people who were saying that it'd be hard for a first-time driver in ARCA competition to win his event. But remember, there's some people, some pretty good names who have won in their first outing in ARCA, Ned. Kyle Petty did it. Remember Lenny Pond, a great driver from Virginia. Some other guys.
Tim Richmond, Mark Martin, and Ernie Irvin. So, yes, we started to talk about that a little bit ago, about some of the drivers, this being a good series for drivers to come in and get experience. If they here's Paul making the move down on the inside, and boy, he's just driving right on the pit ring.
Well, he knows we're talking about him. He wants to show off a little bit. Attaboy, JP. And he now takes that car. He's the 3rd spot, and they're going to be dancing the do there in Ireland as his Irish car owner really impressed with this young man's performance.
Well, we're going back up front, but I want to finish that point about this ARCA series being a good series for drivers to come in and get experience. They're racing against veterans and on many tracks that they would run on if they went on to Winston Cup racing. And so we've seen some of those names we just reeled off there a moment ago.
Here's a battle for 5th spot, Ned. Bob Breback in the car number 34, the Country Concert Buick. The Race Glaze efforts, and Lee Raymond, the Riverside Auto Parts car. Now, Bill Venturini has made a hard left-hand turn down pit road, and he may not be able to make it on fuel. There's 3 laps to go.
Evidently, there was 36 laps to go when he made his pit stop for fuel, but apparently they miscalculated the fuel consumption, and he was out. He did run out of fuel, so they had to come in and get just a few gallons to finish this race, and that cost him.
What a tough break for Bill Venturini. Norman Degree, the crew chief there. The prototype engine not coming back to fire. They are pushing the ST Chevrolet down pit road. And remember, Lee Raymond runs awfully well up this backstretch up in toward turn 2, and he is trying to move by another veteran driver, Bob Breback, and they are battling back there for the 5th spot.
Finally, Venturini gets his Nestea Plunge Chevrolet fired. He gets back out of the action. But boy, that was a costly situation for them, Jerry. I thought they would be able to make it, really, those 36 laps, but I guess he just burned a little more fuel than he thought. Here's that battle again, as Raymond has moved right up on the back bumper of Breback.
Bob Breback, 44 years of age, from Ashland, Wisconsin. The defending ARCA Series national champion, and right there battling with him, the 2-time series champion, Lee Raymond.
Well, we see the car number 27 of T.W. Taylor in there as well. He's running very strong, but he is a lap down. He currently is being shown in the 9th position.
All right, back in 9th spot, 1 lap down. Pretty good run for the driver making his first ARCA start. A NASCAR Sportsman Division driver, had some pretty good runs at Charlotte. We're talking about T.W. Taylor, the 9th place car, but there's the leader. White flag now being waved. by Doyle Ford for Bob Keselowski, trying to pick up Super Speedway win number 3 in his first win of the 1991 season. He has dominated this event after Bob Schacht was able to lead early on and came down pit road with a misfire in the engine, and he will try to catch Bill Venturini, although it's a moot point here. Venturini, who had that unscheduled stop for a splash of fuel. Bob Keselowski in the car number 29, a new track record in qualifying. 156.975 miles per hour. Just a minute ago, Ned, he was turning laps at almost 153 miles an hour. At 60 laps into this race, or 58 laps into the race, so he had really turned the wick up to try to win this thing in grand style. White flag waving for Venturini. It'll be the checkered flag. It'll fall for Bob Keselowski from Rochester Hills, Michigan, the K Automotive Chevrolet. And Ron Keselowski and all the crew celebrating in the pits. Indeed, they rolled the dice, picked up the halfway money of $2,500, and they will take home the lion's share of $81,665 purse put up for today's Champion Batteries 150. Well, we'll hear from Bob Keselowski and all the happy crew members when we come back with more from Pocono International Raceway after this. Stay with us.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
It has armor. He has armor. It is cunning. He is more cunning. You've met the disease, roaches. Now meet the cure. The Orkin Man, armed with one of the most sophisticated pest control systems in the world. He zeroes in on roaches and other pests, destroys them, and prevents their return, guaranteed. The Orkin Man. One call destroys them all.
All back at Pocono, Pennsylvania, the Champion Batteries 150 is history, and Bob Keselowski has taken his car to victory lane. Ben Hess finishing in second spot. John Paul Jr. a great run for third. The defending series champion Brevac finishes fourth, beating Lee Raymond in fifth spot. There's Bob Keselowski waving to this nice crowd on hand. A beautiful day for racing here in the Pocono Mountains. Very picturesque area, and of course all the honeymoon resorts. And we talked about the love affair these drivers have had for many years at this racetrack. Well, here's a driver who really loves coming here, picking up his third Super Speedway win at this racetrack. This extremely difficult 2.5-mile triangular facility. There is brother Ron and all the other Keselowski crew walking their way up toward victory lane and getting congratulated from some of the other ARCA competitors.
Of course, Ron used to drive race cars himself, ran some NASCAR, and a very successful driver himself.
Well, we'll let him get his breath and get wiped off there as he gets ready to climb out of that winning race car. And while he does, we'll take a break here from our coverage at Pocono International Raceway. We'll be back with the words from the winner, Bob Keselowski, when we come back after this. Don't go away.
Rolaids. Now that spells relief.
How to live like a mountain man. A true mountain man lives a solitary life, living for nothing more than an honest day's work and the rugged companionship of his fellow mountain men. It's a full-time job, but it does have its rewards, like smooth bush beer and easy drinking bush light. So, head for the mountains. Because once a mountain man has his mountains, what more could he possibly want?
Introducing the fastest way to stop athlete's foot itch. New Absorbine Junior. The leading remedy claims relief begins in 24 hours. Absorbine Junior takes seconds. Absorbine Junior now contains tonaphtate, a proven fungicide to cure athlete's foot. Add an environmentally safe pump spray and a money-back guarantee if that itch doesn't stop in seconds. And you've got new Absorbine Junior antifungal liquid spray. The fastest, guaranteed.
Well, the champion batteries 150 is history here at Pocono International Raceway, and Bob Keselowski has picked up his first win of the 1991 season. We certainly hope you've enjoyed today's Speedwall coverage of this ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series event, brought to you by Quaker State. The big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. By Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. And by Smooth Busch Beer, an easy-drinking Busch Light. Let's go down to Victory Lane, where John Curtin is standing by with a happy driver. John?
Happy, you're exactly right. A big smile on Bob's face. Bob, tell a little bit about that pass that you put on Ben Heston. Did you make any changes in the car on that last pit stop when you were able to get tires?
No, we didn't make any changes. We hadn't put on any tires all day. That was our first tire stop. We come in under the green, and the car was still working pretty good. We didn't want to waste the time changing tires, so we just added fuel to it. But then a caution come out a few laps later and enabled us to put some tires on the car. Well, the car was really strong in that tunnel turn. That's where we made most of the moves all day, and it just, if you timed it just right, you could really get a good run at the guy there. It worked good for us today.
Also worked pretty good the first half of the race. You were able to pocket that $2,500 bonus for leading at the half. I think, though, you might have been a little worried about stretching that when you had to run those laps without a caution coming out.
Well, we sure did. My crew chief, said, you call the shot, you want to come in. There was a caution at I think lap 24 or 3 somewhere is in there, and he said everybody's pitting, and I said, well, the tires feel good. Maybe let's try to go to halfway point and just stop for fuel if we have to, and then maybe another yellow come on. We got lucky, and sometimes those things backfire on you, though.
Well, Jerry's brother Ron said that they really needed a change of luck. They'd had nothing but bad luck this year, and they certainly made up for that today. Must be a bunch of rabbit's foots in the car and in that pit area.
Well, there must be something in there, because my luck has been pretty bad, but it hasn't been all that bad either. I'm in good shape, and our cars are in good shape, and we've been running second and third, so we're used to win a little more than that, but we got, once you get that first win in, then it's all forward from there.
Jerry, back up to you.
Hopefully it's going to be all downhill for Bob Keselowski taking the win. Ben Haas finishing second, John Paul Jr. third, Bob Brebeck fourth, and Lee Raymond in fifth. 6 through 10, Bobby Gerhardt, Phil Venturini, Roy Payne, the rookie, T.W. Taylor in his first ARCA start, and point leader Bobby Boucher salvages a 10th place finish. 11 through 15, Dave Jensen, Bob Dodder, Jerry Hill, Doug French, and Mark Harding in 15th spot. The current point standings, Bobby Boucher still hangs on to the lead, but Bob Keselowski jumps from 4th to 2nd. Gerhardt is 3rd, Brebeck 4th, and Venturini cracks the top 5. Tonight, lots of racing action coming your way. Saturday Night Thunder, ESPN Speed Week at 7:30. And then from Thunder Valley, IHRA Drag Racing, 8 p.m. 9 o'clock, USAC Racing tomorrow, live flag-to-flag coverage of the Champion Spark Plug 500 right here from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. For John Kernan and Ned Jarrett, I'm Jerry Punch saying so long from Pocono.
I've got a Champion Spark Plug trophy here.